Hello everyone, this is Doug Jankowski with the Grizzled Geek, and today I'm going to bring you the first in a series of videos on companions. These videos are going to look at the top 5 things I think Bioware is doing right with companions, the top 5 things I think they're doing wrong with companions, and the top 5 things I want to see them do in the future with companions. Because I'm a positive person, I'm going to go ahead and start off today with the 5 things I think that they're doing right with companions. And the first of those, number 5 on my list, is that missions, specifically crew skill missions, now build influence for your companions. With 50 levels of influence, it's kind of hard to get through, giving gifts and, through conversations and stuff to build that influence up that high. And it takes a really long time. The nice thing with the new missions give influence. It's not a lot. It's about what you would get from giving a prototype gift. One of the green level gifts. I think at level 5 or 6. I'm not positive. It depends on the level of influence you have with them. But anyways, in addition to getting influence, you're getting some sort of material gain from it. Whether it's some scavenged metal, or it's a credit case, or tech parts, or whatever your crew skills happen to be, you're getting both a material benefit and the benefit of increased influence with your companion. So that's why I think that's the number 5 thing that they're doing right with companions. Alright, here we are. The number 4 thing that I think they are doing right with companions is letting you select the role for your companion. So you don't have to switch companions when you want them to fill a separate role. You can simply click on their icon, right click on them, and then select what you want them to be. So you can say, you want this person to tank for me. So send them on in, and they perform the role of a tank. If you are in a particularly hard fight, you may want to say, be a healer for me. So, you've got those options, and you can stick with a specific companion that you like to interact with. You don't have to go, I need a tank in this situation, so I guess it's Kaizen Fez that I'm going with, or, I need a healer, so I'm going to have to pull out, this particular person, Doc or Mako or somebody like that. So this is probably, like I said, one of the best things that they came up with as far as gameplay is concerned. But it didn't make the top of my list. To see where that is going to land us, let's move on to number 3. Alright, the number 3 thing that I think Bioware is doing right with the companions at this point is that you can now choose the fate of some companions. You are able to, in certain circumstances, through the Knights of the Fallen Empire and Knights of the Eternal Throne storyline, you will get certain interactions with characters where you can decide their fate. And I'm not talking about when you're given the choice between, and I'm not going to spoil anything if somebody has not finished Kotet yet, I'm not going to spoil anything for them. But you're given the opportunity to, or the requirement, there's nothing you can do to stop this, so I don't consider this a choice. One or another character dies. That's not what I'm talking about. There are specific instances for different companions. So, for example, and these were alliance alerts. Zalik was one of these. The early alliance alert missions where you encountered him and were able to choose how you reacted to him killing all of the miners that were around. I chose to lock him in prison. So you can see over here he's killing members of this mining expedition. I refused to allow him to continue and restore his father's honor, and after defeating him, I rejected him as a companion and imprisoned him for his crimes. There's the option to kill him as well. I think Brunemark, I killed him in single combat. You could do that with, I think, Rusk. You had the choice to reject him. So there's quite a few of those companions, and even some of the story-based companions like Koth and Kaleo. They, depending on choices you make, you might have the option of banishing them, or even in some instances there's an option where you can kill Kaleo for disobeying your orders. So there's some real cool ability to choose the fate of some of your companions. Not a lot of them, but some of them, and those were fun moments, and they were interesting moments. I wish there had been more. I wish that things like the choice that you have in the final battle between who lives and who dies, that there had been a little more to it, that your different actions would have been able to bring different people into the mix, or whatnot. I mean, it could have gotten really complicated, but early on they executed this fairly well with these different people, and then by the end it didn't mean as much as they meant it to mean, because there was no real choice. It was just pick one to die. So anyways, I'm getting off of, that's going the negative direction. We're not going to go there. Let's move on to our number 2 thing that I think they are doing right with companions. Alright, the number 2 thing that I think they're doing right with companions is that there are interesting new companions with stories attached to them. I like the story elements of Star Wars: The Old Republic. I enjoy interacting with companions. Especially, it was great in the first 3 chapters for each of the character classes. You could really delve into those initial characters. That has not always happened since then, but we did get a few. Especially Lana and Theron, who you had with you throughout the Shadows of Revan storyline, have now become companions, so you can interact with them a little more. I don't like that there's not side conversations you can have during building influence with them, but you still get a nice, interesting story. Same with Zoom here, Senya to a degree, Arkin to a degree, Koth. They all have stories. I don't always necessarily like the story or like the character, but I like that they put that effort into, building a little background into it, not just, here's a new companion and they don't really say anything, or there's nothing about them. And that's, we'll talk about that later in another video, but I do like that they've introduced all of these interesting new characters, some of which become your companions. So that's great. And the number 1 thing I like about what Bioware is doing with companions now in Knights of the Fallen Empire and Knights of the Eternal Throne is making companions central to the story. Now, I may not have always agreed with what companions they chose, such as Kaleo, but the fact that they are building stories around certain companions, I think, is something they are going to need to do in the future to really make you feel that your individual characters, that your separate characters have some sort of connection to the story. It's really difficult when you're just thrown into a mission that's just like the same mission that you've done over and over again with number of characters. It kind of gets boring after you've done it with 3 or 4 characters, and that's what's happening with a lot of these chapters. But if there are companions that are connected to the character that you are running, it makes it more interesting, so that you get that personal element. But it also is interesting when they bring back a companion in an interesting story mode. So, for example, in the chapter Disavowed, you get to find out what Jorgen has been up to since you disappeared. Now, you may not be playing a soldier at the time, but you're still getting an interesting look at one of the companions from one of the other players. I think that's something they're going to need to concentrate on in the future, and I will talk more about that in 2 weeks. But that finishes me up on my top 5 things that Bioware is doing right in Knights of the Fallen Empire and Knights of the Eternal Throne with companions. So let me review. We've got at number 5, Missions now build influence, which will help you reach that level 50 influence. Number 4, you can choose the role of your companion. You're not forced to switch companions and play a companion you don't enjoy in order to fill a specific role. So that's nice. Number 3 is you get to make choices about some of the companions, choosing whether to accept or reject them, whether to banish them, maybe kill them, flirt with them. There's a lot of options for a lot of the companions, so that's very cool. Number 2, there's interesting new companions with stories for you to explore, to lesser or greater degrees. Some, the stories are very in-depth. Some of them, it's just kind of a gloss over, but it gives you something to latch onto if you're interested in the story aspect of the game. And then finally, the number one thing I think they're doing right with companions right now is making companions integral to the story, and it's something they need to keep doing. But there you go, guys. That's my take on what Bioware is doing correct with companions right now. Next week, I will be looking at the 5 things I think they're doing wrong with companions, and then I will wrap up the series with top 3 things I want to see them do with companions in the future. But there you go. If you would, please comment below. Let me know what you think about the list I came up with. Is there something else you think they're doing right with companions? Maybe give me some ideas about what you think is going wrong with companions, and see if those match up with my what I come up with for next week, which the video's already been recorded, so we'll see if our ideas matched up. Once again, please hit that like and subscribe. Click the bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. Thank you for joining me for another Star Wars The Old Republic video. We here at The Grizzled Geek are working tirelessly to provide you with more content and upgrading our equipment for greater production values, but we need your help. We've set up a Patreon page where you can become a Patreon at varying levels of support with a variety of rewards at each level. If you would prefer a one-time gift to support, visit us at our GoFundMe page. Links for both are down below. Either way, we appreciate you being here, checking out our videos, and I'd encourage you to check out what else the channel has to offer. We look forward to seeing you in the weeks, months, and years to come and interacting with you as a community. Thank you very much for your support.